Hello everyone. Hi, this is Alok Ojha. Welcome to StudyIQ IAS English. So guys, GS paper 1 is out. And in that case, here we are going to discuss about what were the important sections on which the questions have been asked on GS paper 1. So along with me, I have Randhir sir who will be guiding you on the geography.
Thank you so much,
So
sir.
yes, sir. Now we are going to discuss about specifically the history section and post-independence India. If you remember, like day before yesterday, we had conducted one small session of approximately 40 to 45 minutes. And in that session, I've told you about what are the important topics that you can't miss. Correct? So in that case, we had discussed about Indus Valley civilization. And the very first question of UPSC was on specifically the town planning precisely of the Harappan architecture, wherein the aspirants had to discuss about the extent of Indus Valley civilization, the basic typology, okay, then the town planning structure and so on. Second important aspect, if you remember, in that session itself, I have discussed about like you have to throw light on medieval India. And UPSC has a tendency to ask questions on the administrative aspects, wherein I had told you that we had to go through the concepts like administration of Delhi Sultanate, administration of what we say Mughals. And I've like we had discussed there that just go for the Mansabdari system of Akbar and the religious, what we say, aspects or the administrative aspects of Akbar. Second question has come specifically on Akbar's religious syncretism. Correct? So, precisely speaking, I have also talked about like what needs to be focused on the world history aspect. And we had discussed in world history, you have to focus or throw light on 5 to 6 major aspects. The first one was American Revolution, French Revolution, World War I, World War II, and feudalism. And there has been a question on French Revolution in the examination. Apart from this, from the perspective of art and architecture or art and culture, we had discussed that just go through, since there was construction of Ram Mandir, okay, so there could be a probable question on Nagara style of architecture or Dravida style of architecture. And the question has been asked in the form of the sculptors filled the Chandela art form with resilient vigor and breadth of life. Okay. So the Chandela dynasty rulers precisely who ruled in the region of Bundelkhand, Madhya Pradesh. Here you have to discuss the temple architecture of that time. And precisely, you might have heard about the famous Khajuraho group of temples. Over and all speaking, approximately, including what we say post-independent India, the weightage for history was approximately around 75 marks, wherein you will get 10 marker, 3 questions related to art and culture. Okay? 1 question of modern India. Like precisely we had discussed about, I had given you example that please do study about the philosophical role of Renaissance and the socio-religious reformers at that time. I had given you one of the finest examples of the founder of Arya Samaj. That is Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji and Mool Shankar ji. Okay? So, here the question has been asked in the examination on Jyotiba Phule. So, over and all, in history, you can observe 3 questions precisely of 10 marker from art and culture, 1 question from India since independence, 15 marks. Okay, 1 question from world history. You can observe again 15 marks. And again 15 marks, 1 question from modern Indian history precisely related to your Renaissance or socio-religious reform movements. So overall, if we observe the section of history, total weightage was approximately around 75 marks. Correct? And the question level, I cannot say neither it was too hard nor it was too easy. The level of the paper from history perspective was quite moderate. Hope so. This point is clear. My friends, at 3 p.m., we are going to go for a detailed discussion on the different aspects of GS paper 1. Now, I would like Randhir Sarji to focus or throw light on aspects of geography. Sir, please.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. As far as my dear students, geography is concerned, see, there were around 8 questions which were asked from geography component. And many times I told my students in our batches that you have to focus on climate change aspect also. as we know that geography has a very strong connection with environmental science and disaster management. And if we have good hold in geography along with environment and disaster management, I am saying the questions which are asked in this paper, they are quite easy. Some of the questions were very direct, and I believe that direct questions are difficult for an aspirant to answer, because in direct questions many of students will write the same content. So let us put light on what type of questions were asked from geography component. As we know that in geography, it is itself divided into two parts: physical geography, which we also call world geography, and second is Indian geography. First of all, let's start with our question number 4. See, if you will see the question number 4, it is almost related to climate change. And I always stress on climate change topic. I always tell my students that you have to focus on issues which are related to climate change. And this was a very direct question and very easy question. Yes, at 3 p.m. we will discuss it thoroughly, that how to give an answer to this question, what is the most appropriate way to explain such questions, right? So first question is, how are climate change and the sea level rise affecting the very existence of many islands? If you follow me on UPSC Mains YouTube channel, recently I covered a topic related to one island which scientists believe will be submerged in coming 40 years. And the reason behind it is climate change and rise of sea level. See, now climate change is a reality. We all know that. And in past 2 to 3 months, India has witnessed devastating disasters because of climate change. So this is nowhere surprise for any student, right? So first question was related to climatology aspect. And yes, here you will see an edge and touch of what your environment also. Second question is from your human geography. It is basically from your activities. As we have studied in NCERT also, that there are 3 types of activities: primary activities, tertiary activities, your quaternary activities. No, what is the question here? What are non-farm primary activities? And how topography, how physiography, how landscape influence the activities, especially the non-farm primary activities in India. So it was not a very difficult question to answer. Now coming to our next question, it is, explain briefly the ecological and economic benefit of solar energy generation in India with suitable example. See, again I am saying there is a touch of geography and environmental subject in this question. As you know that we have assured under Paris Agreement that we will achieve this target by 2030. And among many targets, there is one target which we already achieved, that 50% of our electricity generation will be from non-fossil fuels. So this is not a hard question. Again, this is a very easy question to answer. Now, question number 7, what are tsunamis? See, there's a subject of geography, and in that geography, the very first component which I teach is geomorphology. In geomorphology, there's a topic, origin of continents and oceans. And to actually know about how our oceans and continents, they are formed and how they are located in present position, what are the reasons behind their formation, we learn it under this topic, where we go through 3 to 4 topics like your seafloor spreading, continental drift theory, and last one is your plate tectonic theory. In plate tectonic theory, we very deeply know how tsunamis are formed. And yes, what are the consequences of tsunamis? We also learn it in geography, and we also learn it in disaster management. So this was also a very direct question, and it was very easy question to answer. Let's move towards our another question, that is question number Question number what? Your 16. Again, my dear friend, this question has been asked from geomorphology. And the topic is origin of continents and oceans. That discuss how the changes in shape and sizes of continents and ocean basins of the planet take place due to tectonic movement of the crustal masses. So in 1960s, you know that many scientists collectively and with the help of continental drift theory, seafloor spreading and convectional current theory, we proposed a new, your hypothesis regarding the origin of continents and oceans. And from plate tectonic theory, we get a clear idea that how Himalayas were formed, how Andes were formed, how Mariana Trench was formed, why Japan is more prone to your seismic events. So this was very easy question to answer. And yes, I will explain it at 3 o'clock session. Please stay tuned to it, right? Now, our next question is again from human geography. So here you have to think that how UPSC and what component actually UPSC is hitting. Here, the most focus of the UPSC was geomorphology and human geography. What? Geomorphology and human geography. So, discuss the distribution and density of population. This is a topic which is known as population in human geography. There we all know that in India, there are some regions which are densely populated and there are some regions which are sparsely populated. Now, let's take an example of northern plains of India, the most fertile land of India. And why it is fertile? Because of alluvial deposits. And these alluvial deposits are the result of the sediments which are brought up by Ganga and deposited in this low-lying area, Ganga and its tributaries as well. So it is only because of the availability of fertile soil and fresh water that the population density is very high in northern plains of India. This is what you have to write. I hope this is very clear. Now, moving towards our next question. What it is? Achieving sustainable growth with emphasis on environmental protection could come into conflict with poor people's need in a country like India. You know that we are transitioning our economy from fossil fuel based economy to green economy. And to achieve it, we have to, follow a cutting edge technology. We have to bring technologies in India which will help us in sustainable growth. But there are some challenges also, because poor people, they are not aware and they don't have knowledge related to this cutting edge technology. So it is a challenge for a country like India to, do inclusive growth when it comes to what your sustainable growth. This we will discuss thoroughly in what your coming video. So according to me, if I see the overall weightage of geography in this paper was of 100 marks. So geography is very important subject if you want to fetch a good marks in GS paper 1. Almost 3 questions were asked from geomorphology portion only. 2 questions were asked from climate change, means your rising sea level, climate change and the disasters which India is facing or overall world is facing. And 2 questions were from human geography. So me and Alok sir and the whole team of StudyIQ IAS English will discuss all these questions one by one with detailed explanation at 3 o'clock. Now moving back to Alok sir.
Thanks a lot, Randhir sir. Thanks a lot for throwing light on vivid aspects of geography, precisely the geomorphology part. So guys, as Randhir sir said, please stay tuned at 3 p.m. because here we are going to go for vivid discussion on different aspects of history, geography, precisely geomorphology by Randhir sir, social issues and Indian society by Soumya ma'am. So please stay tuned at 3 p.m. See you very soon. So guys, thank you and have a very wonderful day. Thanks a lot, Randhir sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Alok sir, thank you so much. Please take care.
Thank you, guys.